Here's hopefully a short synopsis of something that happened this week that I still don't understand. In office space near a client, a young woman was meeting with her boss. She was, by my estimation, in her late 20s. The boss, also a woman, was giving her feedback and reviewing edits she had made on something that this young woman wrote. They had been speaking in low tones, but their volume got louder toward the end of the conversation because the young woman was getting agitated about a particular edit. So she wrote some article. She's getting edits from her boss. She doesn't like this one edit. This happens all the time in this world. The particular edit was correcting the spelling of hamster to hamster. Now, I'm going to give you to read the spelling. She spelled it, the employee spelled it Hampster. Now, that is not what the word is, obviously. It's hamster, Hamster.
Yes.
Okay. So she spelled it hamster, like a hamper where you throw your clothes.
Yeah.
Right? But hamster, meaning the animal, there's no P in there. Okay? Pretty basic.
Right. So she spelled it wrong and somebody corrected her.
Right.
And she's hacked off about it.
She had used the phrase like spinning in a hamster wheel in the draft. And it was like they were talking about it being like an op-ed or a speech or something. Mm-hmm. So spinning in a hamster wheel, Hampster. So the boss is saying, hey, we got to change that to Hamster. The young woman kept saying, I don't know why you corrected this because I spell it with a P in it. And the boss said calmly, but that's not how the word is spelled. There is no P in hamster. And the young woman replied, but you don't know that. I learned to spell it with a P, and that's how I spell it. The boss, remaining very calm and professional, let's go to dictionary.com and look it up together. Now, again,
all right,
as the writer points out, this is a woman in her late 20s, not a fifth grader. Mm-hmm. The young woman insists she doesn't need to look it up because it's fine to spell it with a P because that's how she wanted to spell it.
Okay.
The boss says, let's look over the rest of this piece so I can explain the rest of my edits. They do, and I can see the young woman is fighting back tears. The boss is calm, cool, and handles this with professionalism and empathy. The boss says, I know edits can be difficult to go over sometimes, especially when you're working on new kinds of things as you grow in your career. But it's a necessary process and makes us all better at what we do. Can't handle it better than that, right? You can't handle this craziness better than that.
Yeah.
The boss gets up from the table and goes to her office, and the young woman can barely hold it together. She moves to another table.
Is there a crying room in this workspace?
That's the problem.
I hope there is.
Apparently there was not.
Oh, no.
Because she goes to another table in the common workspace area, drops all her stuff loudly on the tabletop, and starts texting. A minute later, her phone rings. It was her mom.
So she called her mom.
She had texted her mom to call her because it was urgent, and I'm sure her mother might have thought, I don't know, she's in the ER or something. She then, in the common workspace, puts her mom on speakerphone.
Okay.
She bursts into tears and wants her mom to call her boss.
Now, I'm guessing, if I don't know this story, I'm guessing mom will do that because this is obviously how she's been brought up.
How else could she be this way, right? Okay.
Yeah.
She bursts into tears, wants her mom to call her boss and tell her not to be mean about telling her how to spell words like hamster.
Oh, my gosh.
The mother tells her that her boss is an idiot. This is again on speakerphone. And she doesn't have to listen to her.
Wow.
And she should go to the boss's boss to file a complaint about not allowing creativity in her writing.
Why don't you just spell every word the way you want then? Why not?
How would anyone communicate with each other if you could just spell words however you want? The young woman kept saying, quote, unbelievable. I thought what I wrote was perfect, and she just made all these changes and then had the nerve to tell me I was spelling words wrong when I know they are right, because that is how I have always spelled them. Now, that is not the way you figure out whether something is right or not. This is that world, right, where like every fact is morally relative, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some relative thing. Well, I think it's right, so therefore it's right. I have my truth, right? It's that sort of rationale.
Yep.
She says she then went on, still on speakerphone, to tell her mom that I'm very great and often.
By the way, there's no embarrassment factor here.
No, I know.
Everybody's hearing this.
You're in a common workspace on speakerphone. I always have those thoughts when you're like in an airport and someone's like in a fight on their speakerphone, like sitting on a bench around. What person thinks that's the right thing to do? It's incredible. Like you go to the corner if you have to have this conversation right now, and you do it quietly and calmly. You don't put it on speakerphone and yell swears at the person, but yet that happens like every other time I'm at an airport. The woman then, the employee. Then went on, still on speakerphone, to tell her mom, I'm very great, and offers inappropriate detail about how hungover she was and what she did with her friend and with some guys the night before. So she's saying how wonderful she is, but then also talking about how she's hungover at work on speakerphone in public. And then her mom laughed and laughed. The colleagues in and around the workplace kept looking at one another. Some even put earbuds and headphones on. It appeared as though this was a regular thing with her. She ended the conversation asking her mom how she should bring this up with a boss's boss. I mean, this is a quote, I always spell hamster with a P. She has no right to criticize me.